Hello goblins, it's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. It's an episode of this week's Pipes, and a few other bits sprinkled in, as per usual. I want to start off with, I finished Lockwood & Co. now, it's on Netflix, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's really faithful to the books, which is really nice to see. That's kind of a rare occurrence these days. And I recommend it. It's maybe a bit teen drama-y. Maybe. The books are aimed at teens. I read them when I was reading them to Wolf. But they're dealing with the supernatural, and that's kind of fun, so I recommend it. I also wanted to say, last week, when I was talking about being able to get hold of my pigment, maybe my emotions were coming through a bit. People seem to detect my upset level, and were giving me some encouragement. The current status is they're not really replying to emails. I've tried to get in contact with them, but they just have an automatic response. They're still not out of business yet, so I'm holding out a candle in the hope that it's just some internal shenanigans and that they'll be back soon. But I have a friend who was looking at the chemical composition of their pigments and who believes he can get to the bottom of who's supplying them. If that's true, fantastic. And it will mean that I can continue no matter what. Only time will tell on that score. So, last bit before we get onto the pipes. I have to respond to a video that Stephen Waters did. He's on here as Cobbett of the Shire. I might post a link to his video. You may remember that I've been making a 6-pipe commission, all reading pipes, different finishes and different stems. And I sent them off this week and he received them on Friday and did a really lovely video receiving them, showing them off and talking about them. So I just wanted to say hi to Stephen. Thanks for your video. It was so lovely. It's not often that I get to see someone appreciate all the effort and care that goes into these objects. And so, yeah, it was really touching to see how appreciated your pipes were. It was just really great. So I'm sure we'll do stuff in the future, and I'll see you at the next UK pipe show, which should be happening this year. Not in the usual venue I'm hearing at the moment, but at some point. So thanks for that. All right. Pipes. Now, this week, one of a more complicated pipe, and so they're more time consuming. It means I don't get to make very many pipes. And in fact, I only made one pipe this week. I restemmed another. Now, I I considered whether I was going to mention that I'd restemmed this pipe, because it's not something that I normally do. In fact, I don't do it. But this was a commission from not so long ago, and it was a commission for an acorn. And at the time, you may remember, I was doing all my acorns kind of like my strawberries with the half-saddle stem. But the chap, Charles, hi Charles, had wanted one that was like mine with the full saddle stem. I made mine many moons ago, and it was really more of a... I made it as a workshop pipe, so I wasn't thinking about flow and things like that. I was just thinking about a pipe that I would jam into my mouth when I was working. But that was what he'd wanted, and in fact, the full saddle stem has now become the stem for the acorn shape. And I agree. Now, for the acorn, it just works with the smaller form. The longer half saddle does give greater flow, which works really well with the strawberry, but with the smaller form of the acorn, the full saddle does seem to be better. And so he'd got the pipe, and I don't know how long it was, maybe immediately, maybe after a day or two, had realised that he really wanted the full saddle stem. So I couldn't stand the idea of this pipe not getting to be smoked. So I said I would re-stem it. So the reason I was hesitating to mention it is the last thing I want is people saying, can you re-stem my pipe? I don't re-stem pipes, as a rule. So here we go. That is the re-stemmed acorn. Really nice chocolate and orange contrast blast. So actually the original stem was black and gold, and although I thought that worked really well, this time we decided to go with the amber flame as being harmonious with the piece. No, I'm not sure. It doesn't bear very much evidence of being smoked, so I'm almost certain. There was a slight aromatic smell to it when it arrived, but I think that was because it was sitting amongst some aromatic tobacco. In fact, it was Peter Heinrich's Dark Strong Flake, which was warmly received, but I think it imparted that smell to this. So I don't think this pipe has been smoked yet, which is just a darn shame. But hopefully when it gets back to Charles in a week or so, it'll finally get sparked up. I didn't see what I was smoking. GLP's Embarcadero. In a, I don't smoke this too often. Straight grain billiard that I made. This one I made quite a few moons ago as well. And actually I can just tell I need to find my pipe cleaners. Right, I see. It's better. Right. Where was I? For this commission, I had a tremendously nice guy who, when it finally came to the commission, actually he was down for a shroom for the longest time. But as it got close, he just said, "Is there a pipe you want to make?" And actually, there's been a few on my list that I've been waiting for a kind of like a space to have a chance to make them. It hasn't come up yet. And so I said, yeah, I've got 2 ideas, so I'm going to do another one at the end of the month. But I finally had a chance to do this fellow. I can't remember when I mentioned it, but I did mention it some time ago that I had a plan to do a nautilus. And so this was the week that I did the nautilus. It was such fun to make. Sort of planning these things out and frankly, taking a risk because you don't know how it's going to go. I've not done it before, and just going on instinct for the most part. I did this this is a violet stain, a deep violet, but you can probably tell as the light bouncing on it. It's not a brown, it is a very deep, I think damson is the name of the stain. And so, like planning out the swirl and the kind of faceted segments. That's plateau at the bottom. So that was a really intriguing problem. How to work in these like regular segments in this irregular plateau was just, it really engaged my brain. I made use of a contrast blast to bring out some of the grain, and it just imparts that kind of natural look to it. Which I think is kind of cool. It does bear some genetic resemblance to the snail. Maybe sort of like around this bowl part here, and the idea of something circular around here, but it's kind of a superficial similarity. They're very different internally. They're very different to make, but lots of fun. And paired with ultraviolet stem. What else if you're going to do a violet stain? There you go. Nautilus finally made it. And so hopefully at the end of the month, you'll be able to see the other pipe that I've made. I haven't made, that I will make. I've designed, but I haven't made. I'm looking forward to that one too. All right. That is it. Let me put that down. I should be back. I see no current reason why not next week for another this week's pipes. Yeah, it's going to get a little bit. It was a little bit warmer this week, and it looks like the forecast is that it's going to get a bit colder again. So, not necessarily looking forward to that, but it'll keep me on my toes, probably literally. All right. Until next week, take it very easy. Your loyal pipe maker.